protection experts here at Drewberry, and today I'm here to give you some info on private health insurance. So what is private health insurance? Now, the best way to think of this is as a complement to the NHS, and it's providing you cover and security against acute medical conditions, aka things that have a cure and can be treated to bring you back to the original standard of health. Now, there are a couple of factors which do need to be taken into account which will affect your premium and your level of cover. For example, do you need outpatient cover? Do you want inpatient covered in full? Do you want the additional services such as physiotherapy, mental health, dental and optical cover? Now, it's really important to understand how these can affect you and how these affect your cover. So the best thing you can do is speak to an advisor, because different insurers will have different criteria. In addition, things like medical underwriting, there are actually differences between the two types. We can help you understand not just the levels of cover, but how these can affect you. So get in touch and we can give you the right advice. So what's the best level of cover to get? Now, we've touched on what the various different things are and how they can affect you. And always I'm going to tell you that the most comprehensive cover is the best. Simply full outpatient, full inpatient, making sure you've got cancer care and all of the various benefits, because it means no matter the situation, you're covered. Now, that being said, whilst we all want the Rolls Royce of cover, if you're anything like me, you're generally working to a budget. And there are factors that you can take into account that can have a massive difference in your premium. For example, with outpatient cover, whilst you can have full, you could also have a limit or no outpatient cover if you're happy to go through the NHS. You can also look at things like your excess. What kind of level of cover do you need? Are you looking at this for everyday cover or for those really serious emergencies? In addition, you can look at things like guided care. This is a newer option to market that not a lot of people seem to know about, and it just helps by bringing down the premium by allowing the insurer to have some input on the choice. As I've touched on, speak to an advisor. Everybody's going to be different and your priorities are going to be dependent on you and your family. Get in touch and we can help you explain the differences in these cover and how this is going to affect your premium. So what are the best premiums? Now, health insurance generally works a little bit more simply than most insurances, but they do still take a few things into account which are going to have an impact on your premium. The first of which being smoker status. As I'm sure you can imagine, those that smoke are generally seen as higher risk, particularly when it comes to health insurance. But also, what most people don't seem to quite realise is that your postcode also has a huge difference in the premium. Now, those of you inside London, it does of course mean that because you have access to those premium facilities, generally the cost of the cover is slightly higher because they're readily available. But again, we can help you find the right insurer and the right cover for you. And all those different benefits that we mentioned previously, such as mental health cover, therapy cover, even things like dental and optical cover and your various levels of outpatient can all have a massive impact on the premium and can very much depend on the insurer that you're then going to choose. So get in touch and help let us understand your situation, and we'll help find the right level of cover and the right insurer for you and your situation. So what's the best form of medical underwriting? This is a really common question I get all the time. Essentially, for a personal policy, there are two options. You've got moratorium and full medical underwriting. Now, it's important to understand there are benefits and drawbacks of both. Now, with moratorium, it's commonly known online as the 5-2-2 rule. Essentially what happens is an insurer places a blanket ban on anything in the last 5 years of your medical history, essentially saying that won't be covered. Now, that will be for a rolling 2-year period on your policy, which if you then go 2 years without further treatment, symptoms or advice of that said previously existing condition, the chances are you'll have cover in the future. It's the simplest form of underwriting and generally very quick to apply for. Now, the alternative is what's known as full medical underwriting. Now, this does entail completing an application form and does mean that you'll have to detail your entire medical history. Now, this is for those of you that want to understand exactly what is and isn't covered from the outset. Now, with those exclusions that can apply, because they will likely exclude anything that's pre-existing, there is a changing attitude with the insurers, and you will find that the majority of the time those are reviewable. The best bit of advice I can give you is come and speak to an expert. We can understand your medical history and help give you some tailored advice specific to you and your family and make sure we're finding the right option for you. So who are the best medical insurance providers? Now, it's a complete cliche, but it very much depends on you. There are a couple of different things that stand out for each insurer in my mind, and I'll give you a little bit of an insight. So with Bupa, for example, one of the standout features is they have something called direct access. This means that without a referral from a GP, for certain conditions, you can speak to them straight away and potentially claim for that. Now, there are smaller insurers like the Exeter. They're what's called community insurers, so a little bit more personal, and they have that service level touch. Now, with companies like that, you'll generally find that the claims process is as easy as possible. But then, of course, you've got companies like Vitality, which obviously engage with your health and obviously can give you discounts on your premium based on your interaction. There are other insurers like AXA, for example, who do then also have direct access services that are somewhat more limited than Bupa. But again, it's really important to understand the nuances and differences between the insurers. Get in touch, we can understand the situation of you and your family and help find not just the right insurer based on price, but who's got the best philosophy for you and your family. So overall, who's the best provider and what's the best policy? Now, this will sound like a cliche, but it very much depends on the situation for you and your family or those that you're looking for cover for. Whilst there are benefits and drawbacks to each insurer, it very much depends on your situation. It also makes a difference in your pre-existing health conditions because each insurer's got a different philosophy on how they treat those. For example, the larger insurers such as Bupa and AXA, very forgiving for things like blood pressure as long as it's well controlled. If, for example, you've had previous bouts of cancer, Aviva and the Exeter can be great at looking at different forms of this. The best bit of advice I can give you is speak to an advisor, be open and honest about your situation, give us as much information as you possibly can, and we'll help you not just point out which is the right insurer, but help you understand why they're the best for you.